Hi, this is Alison DiNicola from US Games, and it's my pleasure to be here today, beyond the cards, we call it, with MJ Cullinane. She's the creator, artist creator of the Crow Tarot and the Wise Dog Tarot, both published by US Games. Welcome, MJ. Great to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
Awesome. So it's a thrill to have you because your card decks are very popular and beloved. And I'm going to read a little bit about you so people have a little idea of your background if they haven't read your bio in the booklet. And that you're a Seattle-based artist, writer, mother, and lover of all things magical, especially crows. We have that in common. She attended Parson School of Design, and yet her unique technique of telling stories through digital collage is self-taught and has been her passion for over 10 years. Nature and its creatures are familiar themes in MJ's work. However, having grown up in the south of Boston, her collages are heavily influenced by the energy of the city. Her work often merges the two worlds. Her path into the world of tarot was a beautiful accident that came out of a difficult time in her life, and the process of creating Crow Tarot has helped her rediscover her own wings. I love that. At the time, she didn't realize how life-changing the project would become. I want to hear more about that. She simply fell in love with the process, the messages, and the feeling each card evokes. The Crow Tarot, MJ's first published deck, has achieved a significant following and recognition within the crow lovers and tarot community. When MJ is not making art or writing for her Crow Tarot blog, she's spending time with her daughter River, playing in nature, practicing magic, and finding new sources of inspiration. Awesome. So I want to start out just by asking you how you got started just with the tarot. Was it, was it something that you had been doing for a long time, or how did you come to tarot with your art?
Well, I've been an artist forever. I mean, like for as long as I can remember. I mean, my mom tells this funny little story about when I was 5. I went door to door in our neighborhood just south of Boston trying to sell my artwork. And she got a call like, Marguerite, your daughter Margaux's over here trying to sell her artwork, And so my mom, tells the story just to kind of let me know, or just to say, hey, this is who you are. This is what you've been doing for as long as we can remember. And it just sort of, I've always just been an artist. I mean, like, and I knew that's how I was going to make my artwork, or how I was going to make my money in life. I just knew, like, this is who I am. And tarot came about because growing up in a family where, like, my mom went to a tarot card reader, it wasn't like it was weird or foreign to us. You know what I mean? It's like, it was just like, oh, go see Regina, or, it wasn't so mystical, I guess, or frowned upon. I know, like, some people have family like where it'd be like, oh, you did what? And our family was like, oh, okay. And so I guess when it came time to make the Crow Tarot, none of it felt foreign, right? It just felt it felt like it was the right time, even though I hadn't tried making a tarot deck before. The timing was right, if that makes sense. I'm like, how to explain this? It's like, it needed to happen at the time that it happened in order for it to be the deck that it was. That was a little Donald Rumsfeld there, wasn't it? Like,
no, I get it. Yeah.
You know what I mean, though? It's like, had I tried to make this deck before, it wouldn't have been the same deck, and I don't think it would have had the same power. I went through a horrible time in my life where we were just in a very bad place financially. I'm a single mom, and I had to take care of my child. And I always knew that the power to obtain the answers I needed was there, and I knew that I could access that information through tarot. I didn't understand how to give myself a tarot reading, and I was broke. So, like, going to a tarot reader was just, I mean, that would have been a huge luxury, right? And so I'm like, I just need to learn how to get this information. It's like telling somebody the information that you need to solve all of your problems is in this book, and then have that person be like, well, I'm illiterate, you know, like I need to learn how to read the book, which is basically what was the tarot was like for me. Like I had to learn how to read tarot. And so I looked towards my guides, which are the crows, to help me in that endeavor. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I need to understand what each of these cards mean. I could look at the picture of the Fool, and I just didn't quite, it just didn't resonate, right? And I had another deck through an awesome deck. I mean, I love the Wild Unknown. I just think of the artwork is just brilliant, right? But it didn't help me connect with each message. And even like the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's like I looked at the pictures and I'm like, okay, you know, I see them, but I'm not really understanding them. Maybe I was like tarot dyslexic, where I was like, I just didn't understand what I was looking at. It wasn't until I was making my own deck and reading and then creating the artwork while learning that I got the message. Like I got the understanding for what each card, the energy for each card holds. And so I was like, oh, now when I see the Fool, I'm like, oh, I get it, you know, like, so that was why I made the Crow Tarot deck, was because I needed to learn how to read the cards. I didn't know how to read the cards, and I didn't understand what I was looking at when I was looking at other people's decks. And I needed something for me, like I could connect with. I needed something that I could read that was like, I get this, so that I could figure out how to get myself out of the situation that had just taken such a grip on me. And it was just, it seemed like it was just never ending. And it was like the only way to get that information was to make the deck. And then there it was. I'm like, I had this deck.
That's amazing.
Thought,
that's an awesome, inspiring way to, like, you lived through the tarot deck, right? It's like you had to live through each of those archetypes, each of those, you know, minor suits, each of those court cards. You had to experience each of those yourself before.
And the tower, I mean, like the tower can be like tarot, like people get the tower and they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, it just means change is coming. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be horrific. It may feel horrific at the moment, that's for sure, right? But now when I see the tower card, I'm looking past the initial lightning strike. I'm looking past that, and I'm thinking like, well, where is this going to lead? Because it's going to lead to something, and it's my choice to make it a good thing or a not so good thing, you know?
Yeah, I think it's so I, you know, just to interject this, because when I first started to learn to read the tarot, I took a class, you know, like 25 years ago. And I felt like I knew, I didn't know consciously what the symbols were, but I felt like there was some part of me, like subconsciously, that knew the symbols. I just had to remember it, or I had to rediscover it. It almost sounds like what you're saying. Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like somewhere I knew it, but I didn't know it in that moment, and I had to go back and relearn all of that. So, did you use it? I was going to say, yeah.
I was going to say, it's if you use the tarot like a therapy session, it can come in quite handy, right? Because it can help you kind of pull up the junk, you know, or the stuff that is cluttering your brain, and bring it to the surface so that you can look at it, accept it, and then let it move on. You know, I feel like that's like one of the greatest things that tarot can do. It's not going to, you know, for me, it's not going to tell me, you know, the lottery numbers, right? For me, it's to help me learn how to process all this junk that's been kind of hosing up, you know, some of the goals I have.
Can we just go rewind for a moment and go back to that Boston accent? Because that was great.
That's my mom. Oh my God.
That was amazing.
Well, I'm from Boston. I'm from I'm from Braintree. Yeah. And that is, I consciously got rid of it when I went to school, because I didn't want, I don't know, I wasn't ashamed of it. It was more of like, I just didn't want to sound like I was from the South Shore, I guess. And it's not a shame thing. It was more of, I don't know why, because I was 19 and wanting to be cooler than I was, you know.
Well,
But when I talk to my parents, or not my parents, my mom, or my family, it literally will come out for like the next 30 minutes, So yeah. And I still say my child makes fun of me because, what's another word for spaghetti? Pasta, right? And so just like, so if I say, hey, we're having pasta for dinner, she gets all like, what are you talking about?
That's so cute. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
But
orange.
your accent sounds like it's really gone. So so it's cool when you went into that and you.
Oh,
you
it's
know,
easy. It's easy to
Yeah.
call back,
Yeah.
South Shore Margaux. Yeah. I used to work at the beautiful South Shore Plaza,
That's cute.
Oh yeah. So
So the Crow Tower right out of the box has been really hugely popular and continues to be like the number 2 or 3 selling card deck at US Games these days.
that's
Just
awesome.
below,
I didn't know that.
yes,
Woo!
just below Rider-Waite. So you're like,
Really?
yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, that makes my little artist heart sing. You have no idea,
Yeah.
really?
I mean, it's a hugely popular deck, and people are always posting. I mean, I'm always seeing that. So I went through. I just, because I've used the cards before, but today I was like, I'm gonna just pull out some things, and I just things that I love, and I think it's interesting because some of the cards that I love have the lion, and I was like, oh, it was the Lionsgate yesterday. I don't know and it's Leo season, and I'm like, and there's that Infinity 8 sign. So I don't know if I'm just tuned into that, and that's why I was, loving. I do love the strength card. I love how I love how the Crow takes on the
playful.
Yeah, and also takes on the like in these different roles that the archetype had, like a human figure kind of thing, and the Crow becomes that human figure.
Right.
And so I just love how you did that. And I'm just curious about your process,
So I'm a Leo. That's why you'll see a lot of lions in the deck. That's why. But I love for the process, again, because initially I was making that deck for me, right? So I wanted to make sure that when I looked at that card, I had little things in there that were like the clues for me to know, like, okay, the infinity symbol, and the crow stepping on the lion's eye, right? To kind of be playful. The lion is not really aggressive, it's more of this sort of give and take, right, with strength. And it's not about forcing people to do things, but to kind of be playful about it. And it's like those soft skills. And so those are the things I wanted to kind of make sure that when I made that deck, I had, like I said, like the clues for me. So when I looked at it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I need to be a little bit more playful. I need to be not so heavy-handed in what I want, but to kind of engage with other people who I might even be intimidated by, and to kind of just show my strength, show that I'm an equal, with them. And that's what I think that crow was doing by putting its little foot on the lion's eye. It's kind of like saying, hey, like, I'm not afraid of you,
Yeah, even though you're 5 times my size.
Oh yeah, and can maul it to death. Yeah,
I love it. And the other card that I pulled out that I wanted to ask you about was the and you were just talking about the Fool, and so I wanted to ask you about what your inspiration, like how you came to the Fool, because the Fool's usually the first card, right?
Right, and I think it was either the Fool or the Hermit was my first card for that deck. I can't remember. It was one or the other. It was like it was either the Fool was either the first or the second, and the Hermit was either the first or the second. I can't remember the order. Because I didn't do that deck in order. I did it in what I was feeling and what I was needing at that time. And so the Fool, the idea of that was, and I can't remember if it was something I saw, but I was just thinking of this log going down a river, and a crow just sort of sitting on it. And although it could take off and see, what else is out there, instead, it was just like, I'm just going to see where this river goes. Just sort of go with the flow and not be so quick to, or anxious to see the end, you know, which is what I think of when I think of the Fool energy, right? Is that energy of just enjoying the process, enjoying the ride, and having faith that the universe isn't going to send a big wave your way and knock you down. The thing that, like, and I have to remember, like with the Fool, is that there could be a wave, and you know, and I think there is an element there where of risk that comes with the Fool too, like where you could just sort of kind of be too careless or too relaxed, or, you know, I kind of just think of that energy of the person. It's just like, it's okay, just go with the flow, you know, and then meanwhile, like, you know, they're walking into a tsunami. But that was what I was thinking about with that crow. I'm like, just, it's sort of just sitting on the log, going down a lazy river, just taking its time, enjoying the scenery, and, you know, and not really concerning itself with what maybe other people are, you know, concerned about. Its concerns are just enjoying the process.
Yeah, just the beginning, right? Maybe
Yeah.
trusting the universe, trusting the universe to take you. Yeah. I wondered if because the pentacles in this deck are so like, to me, stand out the most as the you know, symbol. So I wondered what your connection to that, like to those pentacles, was, because I don't know, maybe that's just the way I perceived it. Or if you felt like there was any symbols that really spoke to you in a certain way.
I do feel more drawn to like wands and to, as far as like the energy, wands and pentacles, for sure. Yeah. And I think that shows in all of my decks that, like, I don't know, I relate more with that energy, or that's the energy I desire more, you know, like swords. I'm more like, kind of want to like touch those very carefully, you know. Although I have to say, my favorite card to make in all of my decks has been the Three of Swords. My absolute favorite card. In all of my decks, that is also my favorite card in the deck. Like the Three of Swords in the Crow Tarot, all the way down to
wow, and that's a challenging card, right? The Three of
It is. It's a horrible energy. I live the Three of Swords, and it's like one of those where I look at it now and I just think, oh man, I am so much stronger than I was before. But it also, to me, the Three of Swords is the permission to let go of an energy, or to let go of somebody who is not best for you, or let go of a relationship that isn't best for you. And to me, it's that sign, like, hey, you can look at it as you're the one who's getting hurt, right? You're the one who's being heartbroken, but you could also take it and flip that and be like, you're the one who's empowered to sever this relationship, to hold your knife up and cut that cord. And as somebody, I've done that in the past, you know, with relationships. There's nothing more empowering than cutting a cord. And so I love, that's one of my favorite cards to make. So.
Yeah, I just pulled it just to give a little view there. Wow, that's a pretty impactful card. So
right, so you have to think, like, are you the one who's sitting on the sword, or are you the one actually taking off? You know, and so that's, I think, like, you know, all the cards in the deck, you know, it's what you feel when you pull that card. I also think it's like, it's not a one-sided story. None of these cards have a one-sided story, you know, even the 10 of Swords, which I also love. That's the other one I actually, it's like, I like making the cards that have the strongest energy, I guess, when I'm creating. I don't know about you, but like when I'm making a deck, it's like, I feel like those are the cards that I enjoy the process more. I may not enjoy the energy as much, because it can leave me kind of feeling drained afterwards, but the creative process is a lot more, it's challenging, and it allows me to be way more creative. Like the 10 of Swords to me is just like one of those, like, oh my God, it's so heavy, you know, it's such a hard energy.
This finality to it, you know, it's like,
right,
done, over.
And like and I want, and the most important thing is like, I want when that person holds my card, right? When they're holding a piece of my artwork in their hand, I want them to feel that energy. I want it to be without, like, there's no way that you could look at that card and be like, oh, well, that's a bright and shiny, I don't, it's like, I want it to be very crystal clear that like, this is a heavy, low vibrational energy.
Yeah.
This is where you've got to like maybe do some shadow work, but going back to your question about the pentacles, yeah, I mean, those tend to be more bright and uplifting, like the imagery tends to be more bright and uplifting, except for say like the 5 of Pentacles or the 4 of Pentacles, but for the most part, they tend to be, those are a lot of fun to create too,
Well, the deck is gorgeous, and as I said, it's hugely popular, and of course, no doubt why. And so I segue right into my next question, that you created the Wise Dog Tarot, right? That was your second tarot deck. And so what was the process like to do that? What was different in, that you already had the knowledge, right, of the cards?
That deck was my second deck. And as I say, I learned from every deck, that I do. I learn, production. There's just so many different lessons that come from creating a deck. That one, I had people submit they were able to pay and have their dog in the deck. So that's why you see like, there's this like beautiful mishmash of rescue dogs and pedigree dogs and all different kinds of dogs. But each of those dogs had an energy as soon as they sent the pictures. So they'd send like 3 to 4 pictures, and I would look at them and I'd try to get a feel for who that dog was. And the challenge to that deck was connecting the dog with the energy. And it's really hard because, like, you don't want to tell the person, well, your dog has a 10 of Swords energy,
Yeah.
But there was a dog in there that for the 10 of Swords, that the story, as soon as she sent the story, I knew that had to be this dog's card. And it was just like, I had to explain it, I'm like, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but this dog was left for dead on a street in New Orleans. And a Good Samaritan, I can't even believe it. There are people out there are so kind-hearted. A Good Samaritan picked up this dog that I don't know what happened to it, but something horrible happened to it, and brought it to a vet. And the vet, instead of saying, well, you know what, we're just going to euthanize it, the vet technician nursed this dog back to health, and then adopted this dog and gave it a forever home. I mean, like, it literally will make you cry. It was such an amazing story that this vet tech was just amazing and loving and caring. And it was just, I'm like, this is a 10 of Swords. This dog like went to hell and back, and saw the light on the other side. So she is actually on the card. There's very few cards where I actually put a human being, in my deck, except for the fairy deck. And she is actually holding Burrito, the dog. And it's a sign for that deck, right? The 10 of Swords is about experiencing something that is so traumatic. I mean, a betrayal. Like, you think if somebody hurt a dog, like, I mean, that's a pretty big betrayal, right? And then finding comfort and love and letting go of that past and learning from it, but not giving up, it's like not giving up on maybe people, or not giving up on a relationship, or, letting yourself become so jaded that you don't ever love again. And so that's what I was thinking of when I thought about Burrito.
Wow.
And having that faith. Yeah. There were some dogs, like, I can't remember, all of them. But like One-Eyed Jack. One-Eyed Jack is the 4 of, is the 5 of Cups. And I love this dog. This is one of my favorite. That one and the 10 of Wands were my favorite cards to make in that deck, because the dogs, they were just so cute. It was just Teddy is the 10 of wands, and he was this little chihuahua, and I just thought of poor Teddy trying to climb up over something, and it just being this big struggle because he was so tiny. And I mean, I had a great deal of fun too with that deck, but the challenge was connecting the dog with the card in a way that made sense. And so it was really hard. It was like putting people, or not putting people, but putting dogs into slots that matched with energy that people would feel. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
Human energy. Yeah.
And I feel like the birds or the crows are more adaptable to the storytelling than the dogs, especially if people are expecting their dog to show up somewhere, and you're like, thinking, how is that all gonna fit together? So I
had people like, my dog is the Queen of Pentacles. I'm like, I really think that I need to put her somewhere else. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because, our dogs are like our children. You know what I mean? There's such a personal connection. People feel really, really strongly about, the personality of their dog and how other people see the dog and everything. So bravo to you.
That was
the work, right? That was the work too, in addition to doing the whole deck. So,
I mean, and then trying to make people happy. So I learned from that, and that's why, I was like, I will never do that again. Trying to make people happy is really hard, especially when you care. You want them to be happy, right? I mean, it's like you want people to feel, good about their dog being in the deck. So I was like, my dog Charlie is a death card in that deck, and he passed away. It was horrible. I mean, like it was like one of those, like, oh my God. He was only 3 years old. And it was during that time, right before I made the Crow Tarot. And it was because, I mean, between his death and just all the crap that was going on, that led up, that was all part of the creation of the Crow Tarot. And, having Charlie in the Wise Dog deck just meant a lot to me, to be able to give him, a card. So, and then our new dog, Layla, we did not have a good picture for her, but she is the Judgment card. So the dog that's in Judgment looks just like Layla, even though it's not.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, are any of your pets? I imagine that, that if you were doing a dog deck, that at least one of your current or past pets was featured in here.
Oh yeah, and the son is Egon and Winnie. They are our my friend Hillary's dogs, and they're like family to us. So the son is Egon, he's a Scottish Deerhound, and Winnie is a Skipper Key. And I'm
just pulling through so I can pull it out here.
So they're so funny together because he's so big and she's so diminutive, and he just sort of, like, whenever he's in the room, he just his presence just overshadows her, but she doesn't let it. She's like, oh no, I'm not gonna. No, she's like, I am going. She's like, I'm gonna become the center of attention, even when
she's smiling. Yeah,
she's so happy. Oh my God, this is a happy dog. She is so sweet. She is like
I'm gonna completely feel about this. I mean, I have to say I love this deck because I love dogs, but now that I know that each of these dogs is like a unique personality of that came in specifically for you, it's gonna change the way that the readings are for me when I use that deck.
Oh yeah, they were just such sweet. I mean, all of them were just such sweet dogs. And you could tell, just like when you look at their eyes, like I always look at a dog's eye, just like in their eyes, and you can tell their personality. You can see it within them. They have that energy. There's a certain, I don't know, verve that dogs have.
Yeah, like their spirit, right? Or sparkle, as they say.
Oh my God, they're so, and they live in the moment. Like dogs, like nothing phases them, right? I mean, like, and they can trust, like they can tell people. They can read energy, I think, better than, I don't know, other creatures, better than some humans. And I know, like, when Layla, our dog, she barks at some people, but she doesn't bark at all people, and like some people can come to the door and she doesn't even care. Like, and then there are other people who come near the house and she's like pitching a fit. And it's like, oh what are you sensing there? You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
So,
totally.
are you working on something now with animals again?
I am not. I just, oh my God, on Friday I finished for Haxa, which is my fairy deck, fairy and mermaids. For Haxa means enchanted in Swedish, or to cast a spell upon. And so I did a whole deck on fairies, and I love this. I love this deck so much. And then what else? I did the Guardian of the Night. That was all animals. That was last year. And my Urban Crow Oracle, going back to crows. I'm going to be doing a playing card deck, just regular playing cards with crows. So I think I'm going to design a crow. Yeah, because we play cards, and I was like, I should just make my own deck. Why am I using bicycle when I can use mine?
So true.
And make it a theme, you know. And I always feel like we don't. Whenever I'm looking for a deck of cards around the house, I'm like, where did they go? So I feel like if I had my own, then I would know exactly where it was.
You would know where they are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
my last inquiry to you, and because it's fun to know a little something maybe about you that other people don't know. If there's something that you want to share, like a special hobby or a skill or a superpower that maybe people wouldn't think of, or people wouldn't naturally attribute, maybe you want to share with your fans.
Okay. Superpower. I always joke that my superpower is this ability to get to fall off a bike. And I used to be a bike messenger. My nickname used to be Crash. And I've been hit by about 5 cars now. And I know, right? I've gone up and over hoods. I have landed flat on my back. I have done over the handlebars. And maybe this was in my younger days, but I think my superpower is that I'm actually made of rubber. And because
wow,
I have not had a single broken bone. Yeah, I think honestly, like when we joke about it, like I really think my superpower, and like things like I can do things like if I do fall, the worst thing that happened to me was I fell one time and a cat tripped me, of all things, and I split my lip, and that was about it. I mean, but I've literally, like, as a messenger, have had so many accidents. And then I used to ride my bike here in Seattle. I used to commute from Seattle up to Lake Forest Park, which is a long distance. It's about 15 miles a day. And I had a couple serious accidents there too. And it's like, either I'm a really bad cyclist or I'm a really good faller.
Oh, so, I'm so glad you're okay. And that's
I am
incredible.
Too. Oh my God,
yeah,
right?
So okay.
I mean, it's just kind of funny, but when you say superpower, that's the first thing I think of, is that I have this ability to bounce back and yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, that's really what life is all about anyway, right? It's a metaphor for life. Every time you get hit by a car, you get right back up and get on the bike.
Up again.
Yep.
So thank you so much for spending time with me today. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It was nice meeting you.
Yeah, it was great to meet you. And we'll look forward to more collaborations and more sharing and things in the future. So
sounds great.
Thanks so much, MJ. Take care.
Bye. Bye.